Every day's different, every day's challenging. It doesn't do any good to think about the future anyway. But I did both of those by myself.
You did that going from zero to climbing a 100-foot tree.
Somebody actually hit the person's house with a tree. How did things go so bad so quick?
Hey there, business enthusiasts. Welcome to the Chills Podcast, brought to you by All Weather Roof. Because just like a sturdy roof, our conversations are built to last. I'm your host, Brent Loberg, and we're about to dive into the world of business, family, and the moments that give us those exhilarating chills. Ever wonder what keeps successful people inspired? Well, get ready to find out as we chat with some fantastic all-weather customers, partners, vendors, and friends. We'll explore their triumphs, challenges, and maybe even some unexpected secrets. After all, business is not just about numbers. It's about the people behind them. So grab your metaphorical popcorn and join us on this journey. Get ready to be inspired, maybe even get a few chills of your own. This is the Chills Podcast. Let the goosebumps begin. So introduce yourself. Tell us about your company.
Hi, I'm Perry Eggert, and I started Eggert's Outdoor Service in 2020. And at the time, I had $600 and a Buick, and I was like, wow, I need to do something. Like, the world was going crazy, and I didn't have a job anymore because of that, so I just went for it. I started part-time tree work with a local tree company, and then on nights and weekends, I would do my own thing. So I would kind of do a little bit of everything for everybody. That is the first part of the origin.
Okay. I saw on your website your kind of focus is on trees. How did that get started, or what interests you there?
So COVID, I was home, and my parents had tree work done at their house, and I spent the afternoon watching. And that was towards the end of the fall. So we were sitting around with the guy afterwards, and he's like, well, hey, man, he's like, all my helpers are going back to school. Do you want a job? And I was like, not really. I was like, I've done landscaping and the hard labor type stuff, construction. And I just thought it was going to be more of that. I was like, well, I don't really want to be a grunt. But I took the job, and I spent 2 seasons with him, and I learned how to do all the ropes. That was the first year. And then learned how to do chainsaw maintenance and all the cuts. The second year I spent up in the lift. And then I went on my own last year full-time, so this would be my second year full-time, but my 4th year total.
Okay. How did you come up with the name Eggert's?
Well, I just knew nobody else would have it. And at the time, I didn't really know what I wanted to be, so I felt the more broad I kept it. So if I said Eggert's Outdoor, then it could be a little more generic. Maybe at some other point in time, I'll change it to Eggert's Tree Service or Eggert's Tree Care, but we'll wait and see what happens there. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
How broad is your market? So you're based in Albertville?
Yeah, based in Albertville. The furthest I've gone to do tree work, I've actually gone up to the Longville area. I've worked in Emily, Longville, Hackensack for people on the lakes up there. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that are people I know. The last job I got, though, I met this guy at a wild game, and we started talking about trees. And he's like, do you travel? I was like, well, where are you? He's like, well, I'm up in Emily. Okay. So I went up there a couple weeks ago and dropped some trees for him. And
Okay.
so I've done that. I prefer to stay local, but if things work out, I'll drive wherever.
Yeah.
So
Do you do trimming, planting, cutting?
yeah, my favorite thing to do is the removals because I like to climb. Every day is different. Every day is challenging. I have planted a bunch of trees last year. Some people are always like, oh, you just cut down trees and, you're a tree killer type guy. But I was like, well, I plant trees too. And they grow. Trees grow on trees.
So you actually climb up the trees and cut them up top?
Yeah, I'll show you some photos.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll rent a lift if it makes sense to do that, but I like climbing. I find it more challenging. And then stump grinding, tree trimming, tree removals, some tree planting if it makes sense to do. But right now I've been doing pretty much everything. So as we grow and add people, we can add services and see what sticks.
Sure. Yeah. You got to have some kind of crazy story climbing a tree or close calls or OSHA-related incidences.
This is the craziest thing. So last year, I learned a lot. My friend called it the crucifixion year, and I believe that to be true because I don't think I would repeat all these same scenarios. This one was crazy. So I got hired to do a contract climb, and I was so excited to do it because it was my first one. So I get there and I do it, and then I tell the guy, I was like, well, we need to make it a second day because the tree was so big, and we need a lift to complete it because you can't rig off of it anymore. So that was on Friday. He goes, okay. Saturday morning, I get a call, and he's like, oh, the homeowner doesn't want us to complete the job. She's acting real weird, freaked out on us. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'll take Saturday off. Sunday, I get a phone call from the Wright County Sheriff's Office. And I was like, well, that's bad. So what happened was, before he hired a contract climber, somebody, I don't know who, somebody actually hit the person's house with a tree.
Oh, the tree fell on the house, you
The
mean?
tree smoked the house.
And then she was nervous after seeing you guys come in, and
She didn't know I was going to be there. So what happened was, like, sometime before Friday, somebody hit the house and then tried to cover it up by having somebody else come in on Friday. So when I got there, I saw like logs sitting around, but I didn't think anything of it. It's a job site. And then also I didn't notice because this is really bad for the homeowner. So a kid 3 houses down was playing with matches, and he actually burnt down the neighborhood. So I felt so bad. She just bought that house, started on fire, then some guy hits it with a tree.
and you got blamed.
Yeah, it was bad. And I was like, how did things go so bad so quick? So now I know. Before working with anybody, talk to them, check on references. Because in my mind, I was like, oh, yeah, people are generally good and reasonable. And they are. But I just got the one guy who has a bad record.
Sure.
So that was crazy. But I will say, I have never hit a house or anything like that. So
Good references then. So did you have like a rock climbing background or anything? Like how'd you just get into, hey, I want to climb a high tree and cut it down?
So there's a really good YouTube community of tree professionals. And I've watched every video out there every day since I started getting into tree work. So I just really liked it. I mean, I would go do the work, come home, watch tree videos. And I would do that for hours and hours and hours. And I still do it. That was the inspiration for it. Because I thought, like, how wild. Like, some of these guys are like 100 feet and they're not even at the canopy. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that is just crazy. I just felt like there's really nothing quite like that type of work that I know of. Then I just started to accumulate the gear. So everything in tree work is expensive. Mm-hmm. I'm learning. I didn't really foresee that. But as money came in, I started buying all the gear to climb. And then after watching all the videos, I thought, oh, yeah, now I know what I'm doing because I watch the videos. But it's really about just being in the tree and being hands-on that way. So.
Sure. People who are entrepreneurs and start businesses, you know, you talk about taking risks and jumping in with both feet. I mean, you did that going from zero to climbing a 100-foot tree.
Yeah.
That's risky.
Well, the biggest one I did last year is 2 popple trees and straight up and down vertical. But I estimated those to be 80 feet to the top because they were higher than the house by at least double. But I did both of those by myself. And after getting down from those trees, I was like, yep, now that was such a huge confidence booster. I felt like I could do other similar things, or now there was precedent. And then a couple weeks later, I went up to Becker for a childhood friend. He found out that I was doing tree work. And I climbed 2 of his oak trees that had an oak wilt. And then he kept all the wood and the brush. So I was like, perfect. Mm-hmm. So I climbed those, limbed those out, helped him cut it up, and those 2 trees were big to me. They might not be big to other people, but probably 40, 50 feet, and then all the limbs were, you know, as big as my thigh. Mm-hmm. And after getting out of that tree, too, I just thought, you know, now I can take myself a little more seriously, and now I can feel a little more confident and just build off of that. But the first tree I ever climbed was super tiny, and I was so scared.
It's just like getting on roofs for the first time. It's high and you're not used to it, but now you go up on skyscrapers and it doesn't bother you.
Well, so I used to work at downtown at the North Star building, and we re-roofed while I was there. That was just wild. They had, you know, they got the guys on the cranes and they're bringing up all the rubber, and it just seemed like a lot. But also you get to see cool things too.
Yep.
Did you start as like an installer, or?
I did start on the roofs.
Yeah.
Yep. Started installing commercial roofs. Started down on the Eden Prairie Mall. Worked there full summer and kind of worked my way into the office, and now I'm in sales and estimating. So yeah, started on the roofs. But yeah, at first I remember we'd climb the ladder in the morning and then everybody would come down at lunchtime and go eat their lunch, and I was afraid to come up and down the ladder, so I'd stay up on the roof and eat my lunch just so I had to climb the ladder so many times. But now you don't even think twice about it.
Yeah. Well, so you're saying so that would be like a single story, but like, what's the tallest building that you've worked on?
Personally, roofing was probably just the mall, but like now that I've inspections, I'm all over, like downtown, like the North Star buildings. We've done buildings like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you get used to it, which might not be a good thing, especially if you're climbing trees and safety. But
No, I hear that a lot where people are like, all the old timers will be like, yeah, like complacency is more of a killer because people are like, oh, I've got this. Well, I hope I hope that's not the case. You know, I try to stay diligent.
yeah, you got OSHA breathing down your back and stuff like that, so you have to be following the rules and being safe. So
Yeah, it's like I think tree work is cool, and some people might think it's cool. And then I always just make a joke because I see people posting online, and I'm like, oh yes, we all know the most important part of tree work is looking cool in your photos. Like people have the sunglasses and no helmets, and you know what I mean?
yeah,
And I was like, wow. It seems like there's just different levels, I'm sure, with everything like professionalism. Because some people are very much by the letter, chaps, all that kind of stuff. That adds credibility,
for sure.
you know?
Oh, it definitely adds a level of professionalism. You got to adapt that safety culture. Customers see that and they look at you as a professional company and they want to hire you, for sure. Do you have other employees that work with you, or is it just you right now?
Yeah, so this year or last year it's just me. And then this year I have a high school student who will come in. He's super awesome, so I know his family. And he's a farm kid, so he likes being outside and doing, you know what I mean, some intensive labor. And then I hope to add maybe 2 more part-time people. I don't know. I kind of look at it. It's like if I'm going to somebody's house, like I'm a guest at their house. How would I want somebody to act at my house? And then 2, could I live with myself if somebody got hurt and it was due to like either negligence or just some people want to crank out 3 jobs in a day. And I've been in those environments and they're too fast paced where I was like, well, people get fatigued, things happen, things break. So I was like, I'd rather just go slow, do it correctly. Everybody goes home at the end of the day.
Yeah. Any tidbit of advice you can give the audience for starting up a business or running a business?
I would just say do it. And like I would do that like analysis paralysis and I'd want to know every little thing. Well, that didn't do me any good. One thing that pushed me to do it, I was talking to my employer and I asked him, what is something that you regret about your decisions and when you started your career as an entrepreneur? And he just said, I wish I would have started sooner. So one of my buddies, he started his when he was 15. He's 21 now and just crushing it, like yards ahead of people in his age bracket. And I just love it because he controlled that. And so just do it if you're 12 or if you're 50.
So don't get hung up in the nitty gritty and all the fine details. Just kind of jump in with both feet, climb a 100-foot tree and see what happens.
Climb a small tree first. No, yeah, just full send it. And you'll just, I've met people at the right times. Things just happen. Like the very first job I got, this lady was like, hey, the deck on my house, I don't want it there anymore. Can you like cut it down and leave it? I was like, what? And she just asked me that. And then like 2 days before I filed my articles with the state. And I was like, well, why did that happen? People just started hiring me for stuff and I just didn't even have any advertising or anything. So I feel like once you open yourself up to opportunities, they'll just kind of flood in. And every time I thought, another thing, you'll never, ever, ever run out of work. I thought I'd freak out about it and be like, oh, I'm only 2 weeks out. I'm only 2 weeks out. Well, then I'd eat up that work. Boom, phone starts calling. It's just endless. So just don't be afraid and just do it.
Yeah, we always talk about the harder you work, the luckier you get, and it just seems like when you're out there hustling, things just kind of fall in your lap and it works out. We always call it hero to zero. You do so much work, and by the end of the year, you've burnt through it all, and then all of a sudden, January 1, it's like, all right, now I'm not a hero anymore. I'm a zero. I got to start building up that backlog. Harder you work, the luckier you get, and things fall in place.
Yeah. Well, I like that hero to zero thing. I think it speaks to the emotional side of business. It's so volatile. Like I didn't realize that I had to build up like emotional calluses to be able to handle it. Because at the end of the day, work will come in and everything is seasonal, especially where we live. I'm sure it's the same way for you guys. So it's like, well, enjoy the time that it's downtime, because when it's busy, it's going to be crazy busy. And both come with challenges. And I don't know, the more I think about my business, the less I enjoy it. So I just try, I think for me, just not to think about it so much.
It's kind of go with the flow is kind of your style.
It doesn't do any good to think about the future anyway. You can only project out what you can,
Sure.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the work either comes in or it doesn't, but it always does. So
And you've been doing this for 3+ years on your own now, or?
yeah, so part-time 2 years, and then last year was full-time, this year's full-time.
All right.
But I
That's
love
awesome.
it.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank
So the name of the podcast is The Chill. So in your business life, your entrepreneurial life, like what kind of makes the hair stand up in the back of your neck in a good way? Whether it's being 100 feet up in the air or meeting a new customer.
Well, okay, this was actually kind of crazy, but I knew I could do it. That's why I did it. But so we had like a pole barn, and then this box elder tree is leaning back, like a heavy lean. So if you think of like a clock, it's probably leaning at like the 1, but it needs
Towards
to
the building.
Towards the building.
Okay.
But it needs to go over to like 11 or 10. So what we did is we took some weight off the back of it, put 2 taglines in it, had the F350 on for the pulling power, and then we had another line on it for directional. And I put the biggest face cut in it, so that's like how you steer the tree and prepare it, and then you give it space for it to fall into. So I put the biggest face cut in it, and then what you do is so nobody do this, by the way. So you just start nicking the back at it, and then as you take away the fibers, it'll pull up the tree. But we had that thing, all of a sudden it starts going, we work it up, gets to noon, and then we maxed out what the skid loader could do, and I was like, well, that's not good. But then the truck, and then I made the final cut, and it overcame. But to talk about dramatic, it's a saga, just that part of felling a tree. That gets my heart going every time, if it's a big tree or a little tree. But that one, I felt so proud of myself after that, because I was like, I don't really think a lot of people, maybe they would do it, maybe they wouldn't do it, but I decided to do it, and I knew I could, and I did. But it was wild.
For sure.
It was just nuts. Like
The confidence was there.
Yeah, and then I think to myself too, I was like, is it confidence or is it kind of like foolish? It worked out this time, so we'll call it confidence. But if I would have hit the shed, then you can call it something.
And you learned
else,
all this
so.
on watching YouTube videos and stuff.
That one I pulled off of a August Heineke video, and
who's that? Who is that?
he's a climber out in Oregon, and he's been doing tree work his whole life. But what I like about him, he's very humble. And then when you watch his videos, he's talking to you about life and what tree work has meant to him. I'm kind of in a similar way where it's like, I've had a million jobs. I'll be 33. I've had like 30 jobs since I was 15, and I just have yet to find that place where I feel like this can be a future, this can be a lifestyle, until I found tree work. And then I've just been running with it ever since I felt that inspiration. And I feel really happy. Like, this is probably the happiest I've ever been in my life. And I just see the upside of it, you know? And I get to meet a lot of people. Like, this is cool. It's the middle of the day on a Tuesday, and I get to do this.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and I'm learning something.
Yeah. It's like, where else, you know?
What a fun time to be alive, though, too, as far as like you're literally running a business off something you're able to learn on YouTube, on your phone, like you point at your phone there, you know? I read something that Google's the largest search engine. Number 2 is YouTube. People go to YouTube for everything nowadays.
Oh, I love it. No, and I was kind of thinking about that. I was like, I don't know if I could have gotten as far as I have as quickly without all that access to information. There's no way, because I also know, and I'm sure you've been a part of cultures too, where people keep secrets and bogart information because it's a threat to their job security. And then some people just don't like to teach. Like, that's fair too. So I can only imagine what these people were like. How do you figure out how to do any of this unless if somebody shows you? But there are people who were trial and error and just decided to climb a tree one day. And I don't know. So that's impressive.
For sure. In fact, like if this was 30 years ago, trying to learn something like that out of a book, I'd be like dead in the water. I like to see stuff when I'm trying to learn something, so YouTube's helpful for me too.
What kind of stuff do you like to watch on YouTube?
Oh man, I like to watch running videos. I like to watch MMA stuff, like watch fighting. Watch a lot of podcasts on YouTube. A lot of stuff, investing, finance stuff.
It's endless.
It is. You go down those rabbit holes. How about you if you're not looking at tree stuff?
It's either tree stuff, philosophy, religion, and then right now I've been watching a ton of pro wrestling like podcasts, and not with like the pro wrestlers, but with fans. It's just fascinating. I was like, what is pro wrestling? And it's got this long history of secrecy, but now we're past that. And now there's more transparency about how it's not totally like a sport, like baseball, or you know what I mean?
And when you're talking like WWF wrestling,
yeah,
not like collegiate point wrestling.
Yeah, like Stone Cold and The Rock and that kind of stuff. It's just so fascinating. I can't look away.
Really? And what is it about it? Just the way the fans get into it? Or?
I haven't figured that out yet. I just know I've been watching these interviews, and it started because I watched The Life of Mick Foley.
Okay.
I was like, who decides to live this way? Like, he lost a piece of his ear during a match that he designed. The ear part just happened, but like he does all these crazy things, like he's jumping off of a steel cage onto a table. Like he wanted to do that.
Okay.
He thought it'd be awesome, and it was. But then he's like the nicest man in the world, and like a father and a loving husband, and I think now he does stand up.
Did you watch this stuff as a kid, or?
Yeah, I did. I mean, it was on, but it wasn't. It was cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's just like it's drama. It's athletics. It's so sensationalized too. I was like, just something about it's very attractive, but I can't figure out what it is really.
I think the fight game in general, and I think with MMA, it's the fights are awesome, super funny, look forward to it. But for me, it's more of the build up, like getting into like how are these guys training and what is their like? Were they a wrestler? Like were they a karate guy? And just kind of following the story up until the fight. And is this guy a wrestler versus a kickboxer? Just kind of the dynamic of. The fight's awesome, but the build up to it and hearing the backstories, how they train, and their mental piece and all that. So
yeah, the story.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because people get invested in people. I don't know too much about like the MMA and things like this, but it's super impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've been punched like one time in my life, and that was enough. Who does this for fun? Like
that's the other side. Yeah, it's the guy who wants to do that. I can't imagine jumping in there with someone, or just the balls it takes to sign up for a fight. And I got 3 months to think about this before I go and possibly get my butt kicked.
Yeah, my buddy, he was training. It was a place in New Brighton, I think, and being at a live fight, I was like, this is crazy, because you get kind of a more feel of like the impact of what's going on, and especially at this amateur fight, because we were like feet away from the ring.
Mm-hmm.
I was just watching these people just beating on each other. I was like, this is way different than watching it on TV.
I suppose you can kind of hear and feel the thump. And
yeah, I was like, well, whatever they get paid, they deserve it.
Yeah, for sure. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think that wraps it up.
Well, thank you for having me on.
This was fun.
Yeah.
Super fun, man. Thanks for coming in.
Very cool.
And that's a wrap, folks. A huge thank you to our incredible guests and, of course, All Weather Roof for making this podcast possible. If you enjoyed these conversations as much as we did, don't forget to hit subscribe and share the chills with your fellow business aficionados. Remember, it's not just about business, it's personal, and it's all about the people. Stay inspired, chase those dreams, and let the chills guide you. Till next time, this is Brent, signing off from the Chills Podcast. Catch you on the flip side.